Whether you want more innovation more easily, you're feeling burnt out or overwhelmed, or you simply know that something isn't quite the way you know it can be, you are not alone. I hear the same thing from leaders every day. On Uncommon Leadership, we explore aligning personal fulfillment with business success, creating authentic teams, and cultivating the resilience, adaptability, and ease necessary to move beyond simply surviving today's challenges into thriving. I'm Michael Hunter with Uncommon Teams, and today we'll uncover fresh insights into what it means to lead today. Joining me is Ken Miller. Ken is a certified fundraising executive, dynamic trainer, speaker, author, and consultant. He helps individuals and organizations harness the power of resilience by reclaiming their identity and gaining strength through adversity. He does this from firsthand experience, moving from homelessness to a successful multi-entrepreneur. He guides leaders and teams through setbacks via speaking, seminars, and small group work, sharing practical insights rooted in courage, compassion, and real-life resilience to inspire hope, growth, and authentic leadership. Welcome, Ken.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for inviting me.
I have been looking forward to this conversation all week. When did you first recognize that integrating your whole self and bringing that into everything that you do might be a valuable approach?
Great question. Probably about 1 month after my last arrest. So I have to give you a little background to give people understanding of who I am and why I bring my authentic self to almost everything that I do, if not everything that I do. So very simply, I'm 62 years old, born in 1962. I was put up for adoption at birth. I did 6 years in foster homes. I was then adopted by Irene and Sam Miller. At age 12, I moved from New York to Alaska, grew up in Alaska. I was precocious. I was a National Merit Scholar as a senior in high school. I was accepted to Harvard, and I went to Dartmouth College and got an Ivy League degree. Graduated from college in 1984 with a degree in fraternity with a minor in drinking, is what I tell people. And within 2 years, well, the first year out of college, I went to treatment for my alcoholism. And then I remained sober for a couple of years, and then I relapsed. And that was to take me on a 20-year journey to being homeless and on the streets and in the penitentiary. I'm a 3-time convicted felon. I was arrested at September 22nd, 2004. It was the last day I drank or used drugs. And I went to prison for 3 years on the last term. Now we get to the part about the resilience. We get to the part about, identifying what is the authentic self. So I have, and I truly believe in most occasions, we have an authentic self that either we manifest physically or we show to others, to the external world, or we keep it inside. And for many years, my authentic self, which is really just a kind, gentle individual that, that's really what I call a child of God that exists. I hid that one because you don't want to be that authentic self in the penitentiary or on the streets. People will take advantage of you if you are too kind or you're too easy or you're too nice. So when I went to jail for hopefully the last time in 2004, about a month in, I had a conversation with God. And once I had that conversation with God, it made it a lot easier to become my authentic self. And it probably took another 4 to 5 years to really fully embrace my authentic self. Because that's another part. We can talk about it now, we can talk about it later. But a big part of it is you have to identify and define what is your authentic self? What is your truth? What is your motivation? What is your passion? And it took me years because I wasn't really sure. what that authentic self, because it really manifests itself in probably 4 different areas, which are emotional, physical, intellectual, and spiritual. And there are selves in all those. And some of them are easier to be authentic to. And then some of them are more difficult to be authentic to and take a lot more work. And I mean work, and mainly intellectual and really emotional work.
What was it to that particular time in jail that God spoke to you and you were able to hear that time where maybe God had been speaking before and you hadn't?
Well, I believe God speaks to you often. Is whether or not you listen or you take heed to the counsel and or direction that God presents. And let me get back to let's go back to my definition of God. God is an external entity or force that modifies behavior. That's what my God is. Okay. I just have a label I call God. And when in conversation with that internal voice, that God, that external entity, that I'm literally listening to that entity speak to me, it allowed me to, for once, understand and hear what is my truth. My truth is you're in prison or going to prison for the 3rd time. You've already spent years behind bars. You're getting ready to spend another 3 years behind bars. I didn't know how long at that time, but it ended up being about 3 years. What are you going to do different? Or you're doing? You're doing. I went in front of the judge. Judge named Judge, I think his name Peter Hardesty. He's on the Supreme Court from the state of Nevada now. And he looked at me and he said, Mr. Miller, you come in my courtroom again with a felony, and I'm giving you the habitual criminal statute. That's the judge telling me. The habitual criminal statute is 25 to life. If I stole $51, which is a felony in the state of Nevada, I was looking at 25 to life the next time. And there would have been the next time if I continued the behavior and actions that I was doing as an addict and as a street level hustler. So anyway, the voice or the conversation, which is internal, happened. I know exactly. I can picture it today. And I listened. And the voice said that it wasn't going to be easy. He didn't say, oh, it's going to be easy. You're going to be clean and sober and life is going to be hunky-dory. What the voice said to me is that I will be there and we can do this. We can do this. And so I got it. It still was a lot of work to do, physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually, but I got it. And what it did, it encouraged me, gave me courage to be willing to accept whatever discomfort or pain was going to be involved with the change, because there's discomfort and change. Yeah, definitely pain in change.
So, what enabled you to hear this message from God this time? Where I imagined God had been telling you this for years up till now. What let you hear it this time? And not just hear it, but acknowledge it and take action on it.
Well, in the rooms of recovery, we talk about surrender. And I had surrendered. I've surrendered. The day I got arrested, I was literally 1% away from suicide. 1%. I talk about that in my book, my upcoming book, quite a bit. And I've talked about it online. But I was so close to giving up because my existence was so painful, physically and especially emotionally painful. Just living was that. And so I was in pain, I was in discomfort, but I just saw truth. And a lot of my spiritual walk, or my relationship with God, is about truth. And I couldn't just walk out the unit. I'm incarcerated. I'm locked up again, 3rd time. Let me put it, 3rd time from prison. I've been to jail 20 times, but prison third time. And also, I just knew that I clearly saw what my future. The future was suicide, being murdered, or being in prison for many years, or just being a miserable addict, alcoholic on the streets. And I got it. I got it. And so I think God talks to you, or your spiritual entity talks to you often, is are you willing to listen? Number one. And then number two, are you willing to undertake change?
What was it that helped you surrender enough here this time to hear the message and act on it?
Pain. Pain.
Had it just
I have a
had it just gotten to a high
pain.
enough level this time, higher than it had
Yep.
before, that she said,
Right.
okay, this
Yeah.
is
But pain and hope. Because I had pain and took an overdose of pills and tried to kill myself. Okay, so I had the same amount of pain as my prior suicide attempt, but I had that mustard seed of faith to try one more time. One more time. And then, because remember what the surrender says. Surrender says, I'm going to stop fighting. Remember, my problem, I always tell people this, my problem, if you so believe, wasn't with the devil. My problem was fighting God and God's will. That's my problem. Okay? It manifested by doing all these negative things, but a lot of who I hurt was myself. And I'm not one to say the person I hurt the most was myself, because no, it wasn't. I've hurt people more than I've hurt me. Believe that. And look at me today. Today, I've got a wonderful, I don't know where these people I hurt emotionally, some physically. I don't know how they're doing today. Okay. But the key component is when I surrender, means I stop fighting. And not only do I stop fighting, I have to live by your rules, because now I've surrendered. When you surrender in war, there's literally a written document. It's a document of surrender. And in that, they lay out all the things that you have to do by surrendering. Okay? Stopping fighting that's just a bellicose, that's just the violence between the two parties. But there's a whole bunch more things that you have to do in the surrender documents. And so I surrendered, and I had the document, which means I have to listen to you and I have to take heed. And then I also have to have some courage. But you said you'd be with me, and he has. We can use that pronoun he, but my God has been with me on every single experience that was a challenge. And I've had some challenges in the 20 years since then. We all do as humans. We have challenges.
what helped that seed of hope flourish this time, or where all the other times it hadn't been strong enough to help you over that edge to actually surrendering and actually listening?
So it's about addition and subtraction. Okay. And what I mean by that, when the seed of hope is there, so you have this small iota of hope. And hope is a picture or an expectation of something positive in the future. That's a hope. But to keep that hope alive, you need to add things, and almost as important, or maybe even more important, you have to subtract things. So I had to subtract who I hung out with. I had to subtract the information I was bringing in. Am I going to kick it with the guys on the yard, the prison yard, and talk about dealing drugs or talk about gang stuff or talk about, manipulating or pimping women. Am I going to talk about this? Look, that's what I did before. No, no, I'm not allowed to do it. Then I have to also put additions. So I had to have an addition of going to the counselor on the yard, in the penitentiary. There was counselors with civilians. Yeah, I had to do the addition of getting my health back. I had to do the addition of reading again and getting the brain to work again. I had to do the addition of adding friends that were of value added to me because I have a small group to work with because most of the individuals in the penitentiary are not making the decision that I am making. Okay, which is to be a different person when I leave the penitentiary. Because if I stay the same person that came into the penitentiary, I'm going to have the same results on the way out. So that's how I built up hope. That is literally how, by addition and subtraction of literally the external influencers, because these are all external. And then what the external did is it also started to change how I thought inside.
What shifted this time in prison that let you add and subtract those things where in your previous stints and all your experiences outside that hadn't happened?
Yeah, that's a great one. The main one was that conversation with God in jail. So the way it works is you get arrested and then you go to court, and it could be long or short. But the way I did my arrest is I always pled guilty because I was guilty. I knew it. I fight it. And it takes approximately 3 months. Did it 3 times, 90 days to go from jail to prison. Okay. And you go to prison as a convicted felon. You don't go to prison as a misdemeanor. Misdemeanors are done in jail. And that's also where you fight your case or you wait to be sentenced. So I was in about a month and I had the conversation with God. That was the rubric, that was the framework or the foundation for everything else that happened. Now, I didn't know what I had to do, and I pretty made that decision within the next 2 to 3 months as to, because I had to think about it. What do I need to do to be different, to change? And it's just life, but I had to change those 4 things. Because physically, I was a wreck. Intellectually, I would read one paragraph from a book, and I could not tell you what the first sentence said. Literally, because my brain couldn't even remember intellectually one paragraph. Okay? So I read a lot. And then emotionally, I went to counseling. Spiritually, I went to different, and I tried a bunch of different religions while I was in there. I had 3 years to do all these. And then, like I said, I changed my, people, places, and things within the parameters I could. Because again, I couldn't, walk out to prison and go to, an AA meeting or something like that. So I had to do what I could within but I'm telling you, in a lot of ways, and I tell this all the time, I speak about this, prison was the best thing for where I was at. I didn't have to worry about the rent. I didn't have to worry about going shopping for food. I didn't have to worry about my relationship with a loved one. I didn't have to worry about any of that. I didn't have to worry about cutting the grass. So all I had to do, and if you allow yourself, all I had to do was work on chanting. And I did.
I appreciate you being asked this question over and over and over because many of the people I talk with, leaders I work with, they're in a similar place where they haven't changed to make, or they have a change they can make. And it's scary. And understanding what helps you in your even more extreme and even more momentous decision change, to decide that this time I'm making that shift, that helps all the rest of us who are in just as scary, just as momentous, even if it may not seem that way, changes, and help us find that key, that mustard seed of hope that will help us make that shift as well.
I agree. I mean, I'm not special, but I am special. If you so believe, I'm a child of God. I'm a unique child of God. My story is unique. My experience is unique. But everybody who's listening to this and will listen to it, your story is unique. Your experience is unique. Embrace it. Sing your song. I say this all the time. Sing your song. I don't sing country western. I sing my song. You know, if I was to take my story and give it a flavor, it would probably be soul and heavy metal. Okay, different ones. You know, depending on where I was and at that point, maybe some doom rock. Okay, but you know, we talk about uncommon leadership, and I'm not common. I didn't give up. That's the easy way to do it. Is to give in to the challenge or the concern. It's to not be resilient. It's to not bounce back. It's to be lazy. It's to be fearful. It's to be uncompromising. It's to be unteachable. That's the easy way. That's the common way. Most of us, and this is just my opinion, do not fulfill their potential, their eternal potential. I'm not talking about the potential that your mother put on you, or your father, or your siblings, or your loved one, or your wife, your husband, whoever. I'm talking about your internal potential. We don't fulfill that. I fulfill the great majority of my potential. I am who I wanted to be. I'm 62. I'm happy with Ken. I've done some incredible things. I've given back to society. And I'm also a leader. And what I mean by that, I lead others. I lead my family. Well, I co-lead with my wife, my family, but I lead my employees. I lead my contractors. I lead the men that I mentor. I lead the people that I coach. I lead my clients, because these are external people that I can take my wisdom and also my empathy and my emotional care for you as an individual or an entity or organization and share that with you. And in many ways, that is uncommon. I don't look at you as a transaction. I look at you as a person. Whether I'm working with you for free as a mentor, or you're my wife, or you're my friend, or even you're my enemy, I still respect you. I probably won't associate or be too involved with you, but I will respect you and then try not to, because you caused me harm, try to cause you harm. That's street. And unfortunately, that's also people who are not, I call it the street or penitentiary, but they still try to hurt those that hurt them. That's a normal reaction. I have too much love for people to be going around hurting people. I say this from the stage. I don't have a single resentment toward any individual in this world. Not a single. As far as I haven't hurt anybody physically in over 20 years. Ever since I got cleaned up September 22nd, 2004, I have not physically hurt anybody. Emotionally, I'm human, and sometimes I'll stub my toe. But I'm telling you, on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably a 1 or 2 that have hurt your feelings. Okay? So, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but, I'm looking at the title, Uncommon Leadership. And again, Michael, I applaud you for bringing people onto your platform to talk about uncommon. this common leadership. I could sit up here and give you the cliches and the memes, that are thrown out about leadership, but I'm just talking my story, and mine is uncommon.
It is. And as you said, so is everyone's, if we're willing to see it that
Yeah,
way and step into everything that means.
yeah, yeah, it is. I mean, I could go on here for a little bit longer, but yet it is. But there isn't, Michael. There is common leadership. So one of the things I tell all individuals that I work with. So let me tell you about working with people. I have been mentoring for 15 years. I teach classes on mentoring. I mentor young Black men. That is of my choice. And I mentor them. And it's free and it's open-ended. There is no end date. My time is really valuable. I'm talking about monetarily. But I take time every 3 months and any time in between you need to talk to mentor these men. Right? And one of the things that I say to them is don't talk to me in cliches. It's an excuse for lazy thinking. So if you come to me and I say, what's the definition of insanity? Oh, it's doing the same thing, expecting different results. I'll say, no, that is not the definition of insanity. What is the definition of insanity? Look it up. Well, I'll tell you. It means not healthy. It means not healthy. Sanus is Latin for health. And means not healthy, means not healthy of mind. And predominantly what it means is the inability to perceive truth or reality. That's insane. Psychotic, schizophrenic, paranoid, neurotic. That means you cannot perceive reality. Your interpretation, your mind is not healthy. So, but it's not doing the same thing, expecting different results. That's a cliche. And so when we talk about leadership, and we want to talk about uncommon leadership, give me your unique take on leadership. That. And then what we do is we're, as individuals, define it, give example, and share it. And that's hopefully what we've been doing, on this conversation. And for you to have a platform, I think that's phenomenal.
Thank you. This has been how you have empowered yourself to bring everything that you are and everything that you do. How do you build cultures where the people that you're working with and leading feel safe and empowered to bring everything that they are into everything that they do?
Interesting. Yeah, because at first, when I look at the word cultures, do I create a culture? I'm going to change the word from culture to environment. How do I create an environment? We can call it culture. I'm not anything against your choice of words. We'll call it an environment. How do I create an environment? Number one, and this is leadership 101, is I allow people to know what the goal or aspiration or what we're trying to achieve together as a team, as a group, as just two people, mentor and mentee. So when I work with mentors, first thing I do, what's your dream? My job is to engender your dream as a mentor. So what's your dream? And then I shut up. I literally shut up. And I give them time. And I also always say to them many times, I give you permission to dream. Because people will take away your permission. Okay? When I'm working with a work team or a business team, okay, this is why I'm here. Whether I'm the boss or the owner of the company, or I'm the consultant or the coach. Okay, this is my role, so you get understanding. I'm always want you to be based on truth, and if it's coming out of my mouth, I'm so big on it. This is called integrity. There's an alignment or congruence between what I say in what I do. Okay, that's a big part of my core. This is who I am because what I'm trying to do is engender trust, a belief in a future perceived action. It's trust. And so I do that to create that environment. This is who I am. This is somewhat of my background. I'll go about the whole thing. Somewhat of my background. This is what I perceive our goal, but let's talk about it. Let's have some consensus here as to what our aspiration, our goal, our final thing that we're striving for. And then one of the things that I do to engender or to create that environment of trust is I let them know that this is a platform or area of trust and of you can feel safe. And also I'm telling this up front, it may take time for you to feel safe. I'm cool with that, especially when I'm working with my mentees. I'm like, hey, you don't know me. I'm just another black man talking to another black man. In our experiences, they may be negative. Most dangerous thing to a black man is another black man, period. 100%. We kill each other. Okay, that's not our role, but that's our history. Okay, we can talk gangs, or family or whatever, but that's the most dangerous thing to a black man is another black man. Okay, so I know that, I understand that, but I want to create an environment. And I have like 4 companies. So if I want to set something up as the boss of one of my companies and I'm talking to my staff, I bring them in and then I talk to them one-on-one and say, anything you say to me is going to stay right here. It's going to stay right here. Okay. So that's somewhat other things that I do that create that environment. And then you have another thing about empowering people to bring their unique talent. That took me a while. When I first started in business, I thought everybody worked like I worked, which I thought everybody thought like I thought. People don't. I'm what they call a concrete sequential. That's my learning style. I like bullet points. Well, there's people who are abstract, whatever randoms, and they're more into visuals and anyway, they're not bullet points, spreadsheets, and Excel files. That's not them. Hey, look, and I thought everybody learned like, and I had to learn that. So I try to find out where you're at, and I can tell that pretty quickly. I'm pretty good at this, and I'll meet you where you're at. As long as we're both get to the same goal, whether it's a financial goal for the company, whether it's a growth goal for the individual, how you do it, how you take that path is not of my concern. Mine is to support you in your unique path. And that's what I try to do.
If I, as a leader, am struggling to build this type of culture, how would you suggest I start?
Find thyself. Find thyself. You can't give away. One of the reasons I can give away what I give away is because either I've done it, I've looked at it, I've gone there. I've gone there. And I've taken the time to identify my motivations, my why, my antecedents to the actions that I've taken over the year. I know every single thing that I've done negative in this world. I'm talking about the big ones. I know why I did it. But it takes time to understand why I did it. And it wasn't because I was drunk or high. There are motivators. Because a lot of people get drunk or high and they don't go to kill somebody. I've gone to kill people on 3 occasions. Haven't. So don't go looking that up because I haven't. But I've gone to do it. So why, Ken? Because of disrespect. I can go into that, but I'm not going to. But anyway, so know thyself. So that when you're meeting or when you're trying to create this environment, you are vulnerable so that others can be vulnerable with you. People are not going to come to you with their questions, concerns, challenges if they don't feel that you'll be open to hearing those. but I'll talk about mine. I'll talk about my setback. The other one is this is to understand. This is the other thing I had to learn as a leader is that I have to allow people space, and I'm a very open person to allowing people space to deal with whatever they have to deal with. Hey, I had this come up. Hey, bro, take the day off. Take the next couple of days off. It's paid, no problem. Deal with it. Deal with it. Don't feel you have to get this contract done or get this job done. That it's that important. What's important is you and your family. So deal with it. I got you. If you need anything from me, holler at me. Need anything after hours? I always tell you, you can call me anytime you want. 24/7. I'm not going to answer it because I turn my phone off at 7 o'clock at night, but I will get back to you within 24 hours. So those are some of the things I do.
Thank you. And so it's really, it comes back to what we started the conversation with today of what's going on right now. What impact is that causing for you? And what about that is exciting and what might be scary? And where do you want to, how much of that do you want to continue living with, and what are you willing to change?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm a big one on this. This is a little different than some. Remember, we're talking about uncommon leadership. I'm a strength finder, personally. That's a certain type of Marcus Buckingham did a book on that. But I emphasize strengths. You don't have to be good in everything or even adequate in everything. I can hire adequate. But if you got a strength, let's run with that. First of all, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. I just got off the phone with 2 of my staff members, and we were talking about marketing. They love marketing. I love marketing. And so they're all excited when we're talking about different, really, really niche, exciting marketing. The most exciting thing you can do to a marketing person is tell them, hey, I got some budget for you. Budget? You know? But that's their strength. I'm not worried about their content. Hey, we can use AI for content. I can hire someone to give you content. You love to do the delivery, okay? To do the social media, to do the emails, do all that. And then look at the numbers because you're a concrete sequential like me, okay? So again, that's another part of it. But I don't worry too much on the weaknesses unless it's a great impediment to your growth. And if so, then let's look at either me finding someone or maybe I'll find you some training. I'm a big one on training. A big one on training. So if you need training, you need to go to a conference, you need to do this, let's do that. That's an investment in you. And this is what I tell all my staff. 20 years from now, you're not going to be working for me. Heck, 5 years from now, you're not going to be working for me because I'm going to be retired. So I'm doing this to invest in you and your future. I tell this to them all the time. I just bought 3 of my employees new laptops. This is for you. I don't want them. They're not company laptop. They're your laptops. Okay? And if you leave tomorrow, so be it. I'm fine. Okay? But you said you needed, better equipment? Come, let's do it. Because almost all my people all over the world, I have people all over the world working for my company.
What is the business value of creating these cultures? Of buying brand new laptops for someone who may leave tomorrow and you're perfectly happy for them to take that with them?
Yeah. The business value is you have happy employees, happy staff. The business value is that you're happier. as the leader, because you know you're investing in people. I use this term all the time, loved ones. I don't know what your relationships are. I don't know LGBTQ. I don't know if you're hetero. I don't care. I have all of the above. But you have loved ones. Everybody, whether it's family or you have a significant other or others. But what I want you to do is be the best you. I love people, but I can only touch so many. Michael, please hear this. The only reason I wrote my book, which is coming out next month, is so I could speak on stage, so I can touch more people. I believe my message is uncommon. I believe my message is unique, but I also believe it's a value added to the individuals that are willing to take it in. I know it is because I've gotten enough feedback from people that your message, it was incredible. And so I am so blessed. Remember what I said, strength finders, invest in your strengths. I believe I have a calling, and I believe I have an ability to share from the stage things that are good for others. I'm not doing it for the money, period. And people who know me, and a lot of people know me, no, I'm not doing it for that. I do well. I do well. Okay. What I do, no, I'm going to tell you this. I do this what I do well. I make over $700,000 a year take home, period. People don't want to talk about finance. I'm going to talk about it. IRS knows. Okay. That's what I take home. Okay. But people are so afraid of people knowing about their finances or their secrets. My bank account is Wells Fargo. Okay. Can't do anything with it. But we're so afraid to talk about our truths. So if you're envious or jealous of that, why? If you think, oh, wait, he doesn't make enough, why do you care? But I'll put it out there. See, that's the difference. That's me. It's who I am. And I'm hoping people who are listening, and I don't know how many people hear this, I do a lot of podcasts. Again, what I'm trying to do is share my book and share, which is just my calling card to get on stages so I can touch more people. I touch 20, 30 Black men across the country through my book club, which is free, and my mentoring, which is free. Okay. I touch maybe 1,000 people, 2,000 people a year when I talk from the stage. I have thousands of friends on my social media. I get emails all day long, every day. People ask me, and I am blessed and grateful that I can share with them whatever positive, because I'm only going to share positive things that can encourage them or inspire them to do the next right thing. That's what I am attempting to do, and I am doing.
I appreciate that. I say all the time that whoever you are, the world is clamoring to have you in their life. And if you aren't willing to be yourself and offer that to them, which isn't to say give yourself away and charge $1 million an hour or whatever value you want in return for what you're offering, that's absolutely your right and obligation even. If you're not willing to do that, why not? Because not only are you harming yourself by not allowing yourself to be that light that you're meant to be here and radiate out, you're also harming them by not giving them the gift of what they're clamoring to have. It's like, imagine if Dairy Queen wouldn't serve out ice cream. All the people who love Dairy Cream ice cream would be really sad. And it's the same. Whatever the unique thing is that you're here to do, you're Dairy Queen ice cream to a whole bunch of people who love Dairy Cream ice cream. And if you're not willing to give that to them, then they are sad for that.
I agree with you 100%. on that. If you just want to be the best mother that you can be, if you just want to be the best father or the best husband that you can be, you don't have to, again, sing your song. That's your song, okay? I can go on a stage in front of 2,000 people and say things that you would not be comfortable saying. I'm cool with that. You be cool with that. Just be the best you. Remember, we talked about this on at least 2 occasions already today. Find your truth. That's all I'm saying to you. Find out what's your truth. What is your truth? Who are you? Who do you want to be? Where are you on that path to being who you want to be? And then what do you need to do to get to that path? And sometimes you don't have the answer. You may need counseling. You may need a mentor. You may need a coach. All those people. You may need a valued person, a pastor, to sit down and talk with. Or just a good friend. Hey, this is what happened. This is who I am now, but this is what I'm trying to be. What do you think? What do you suggest I do? Hey, I think you might want to get into the gym. You may want to start walking a little bit more. The physical one is almost so easy in many, many ways because you can see it. And the answers, you have to burn more calories than you're bringing in if you want to lose weight. If you want to stop smoking cigarettes, you're going to, do something to stop smoking cigarettes. If you want to stop drinking, got to do something to abstain from drinking. I could go on. That's that physical. I'm going to tell you what the intellectual is not that hard either. Start reading, start putting in better information into whether it's podcasts, whether it's YouTube, whatever it is. Start putting in better information that makes your brain think, okay, cognitively. The difficult one, there's 2 difficult ones, and that's emotional and spiritual. And for some people, the spiritual is not that difficult because they have a church, they have a spiritual life. It's the emotional. Because to grow emotionally, there's discomfort involved. Because you're going to have to go back into memories that you don't want to go into that door. You don't want to go into that room. You don't want to bring that memory up because it was a painful situation, circumstance. But to grow from it, to take away the power of the secret, you're going to have to go in that room, bro. I say, bro, that's just a term I use. You're going to have to go into that room. You can go into it alone, but a lot of times I don't recommend going into it alone. Get a counselor, get a sponsor, get a coach, get a mentor. And how do you go into that room together? Okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what happened to you when you were 14, when you were shot. I've had that conversation with my guys. Okay, let's talk about it. I know it sucked. I know you have a lot of anger, resentment, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about let's talk about it. My dad shot my mom 6 times. Let me tell you about that and how I felt about that. And let's talk about yours. And let's go into that room together. I'm here. I'm on the phone. I'm on a Zoom call with you. I'm looking you in the eye. Let's talk about it. Let's go into that room. Let's see what's in that room. And let's see if we can come out. May not even be the first time we go in there, we're going to come out a different person. Because in the end, what I'm hoping to do is take away that negative feelings that you have about the situation. And also those negative feelings that you have about the person who harmed you. I have no resentment toward my father. I regret it happened, but I don't resent him. He's passed away. I had let go of that a lot. I forgave him years ago because it was one of the things that made it very easy for me to smoke crack cocaine on the streets. Made it very easy. I had my excuse. Okay. So anyway, that's somewhat how I work. But you get me excited. See, I love going here. And thank you for allowing me to go there.
Going there is much of the point of this show is I have these 4 questions that I use to frame every conversation, and where the conversation goes from there, and how those questions weave in is different every single time. I love it. It's a personification of, it's not the right word. Instantiation isn't the right word either. It's close enough, of what I was saying earlier, is that who you are is unique, and you have something unique to give to the world. And every conversation I have is with a different person, and so it's going to go in a different direction and be unique, even with the same questions framing the conversation.
Let me just say something to that one of the hard lessons I had to learn, it wasn't even a lesson, I hate call it a lesson. And this was it. If I'm right, doesn't mean you're wrong. And you're right doesn't mean I'm wrong. So you may look at something differently. So let me give you an example. Who I think is the most valuable player in the National Basketball Association in 2025 is Nikola Jokic. That's who I believe is the most valuable player. There are many who think Shai Alexander-Gilgeous is the most valuable player. I disagree. But it doesn't mean that you're wrong. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong. More importantly, doesn't mean that I am wrong as a human. Okay, which is a state of being as a state of, versus a state of doing or opinion. Okay, it's a thing we talk about, guilt versus shame. Okay, and so when people used to say or disagreed with me, I would argue with them, because what I thought they were saying is I must be wrong as a person because I'm wrong on the answer that's in difference to what you have as an answer. And even for a few years outside the penitentiary, I struggled with that one. Nowadays, I just know that you have a unique perspective. I will state my argument. I will state my data or reasoning, and I can do that from Nikola all day because I'm a big analytic person. And then you state yours or not state it, and we'll go off. You're still my friend. You're still the person I've had an interaction with. But I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying this is my belief, and these are the reasons why I believe it. And we both go on with us. We can go from it. At least, but this is the key part. Can we listen? The biggest difficulty we have today, not the biggest, one of the big difficulties we have today is we have too much confirmation bias in media. Which means is you have an opinion on something in life, politics, movies, whatever, music, and you can go online and find 1,000 people that will confirm your belief or choice. But you will not take in information from the other side. I go to conservative websites and I go to progressive liberal websites. I do. I'm a black man in the nonprofit world, which is very progressive. But I go every single day to a couple conservative sites so I can understand, because they're humans too. They have families too. And I'm going to say it without 100%. Progressives, you are not 100% correct on any of your beliefs, period. There's a middle. And conservatives, you are not 100% correct on any of your beliefs. This is my opinion. So where are we? And can we meet? Can we at least be civil? And that's we don't have the civil discourse. But anyway, the key component is to be able to listen to multiple voices to then make a learned decision. You may stay in the same one, but I believe me when I tell you I changed some of my truths or beliefs.
How do you help people find their way through all the change, uncertainty, and overwhelm? It seems to be what life is full of these days.
Provide suggestions. So remember, there's two things I'm going to do. I don't care what your position via me is, whether you're a staff member, whether you're a contractor, whether you're a coachee, mentee, friend. I'm always going to do this. Number one, I'm going to listen. Number two, I'm always going to question. Socratic. I'm going to question. What are you trying to accomplish? Do you just want to talk to me? Do you just want to get it off your chest? I'm cool with that. Come on, tell me. Let's talk about it. Okay. Number three, are you open to suggestion? Because if you just want to tell me your pain, share your pain if that helps you. I will empathize with you, but I won't give you suggestions. But I'll ask you that. You want my suggestions? 99% of the time, yeah. No, sometimes 1% of the time, yeah, I just want you to listen. Okay. Then, and this is a key one, I'll offer my suggestion because I've always said this to people. 95% of the time, I'll have suggestions. I have done life. Brother, I have done life. I have seen almost or heard or experienced almost everything that a black man can do. That's why I don't work with women. I've never done childbirth, so I can't help you in childbirth. Okay? As an Asian female, 22, I cannot give you answers in childbirth. But let me give you the caveat. I probably know who can. I know a lot of good people, So if I don't have the answer, I'm going to do one of two things. I'm going to go to my large language models. I'm going to go to AI. And we might do it right on the screen while we're talking. Or I'm going to reach out to some people that might have more experience or knowledge in this area to assist you or such a. Now that's up front. This is the key though. Let's circle back around. I got a guy I'm meeting with tomorrow. We talked last week. I said, hey, let's circle back next week. Let's touch base and let's talk about this situation and suggestions I gave or shared with you. But let's check back in because that's one of the other big problems is we don't check in enough and then modify if we need to modify. That's why I'm a big one on dashboards for success. Usually for business success. What are our metrics? Where are we year to date or where are we in the present? What is our goal? What was our baseline? And then we check in once a month. That's a normal dashboard. Once a month as to where are we at in relationship to our goal. And so most of the guys I work with, we're checking in on something.
For people, Ken, who would like to follow up on your vision of uncommon leadership and how you help people move towards that, take you up on learn more about the mentorship and everything else we've talked about today, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
LinkedIn. LinkedIn is probably the easiest for you. It's Ken Miller 84. That's my handle. LinkedIn / Ken Miller 84. Because I graduated in 1984. So that gives you a reason why I use that all the time. So Ken Miller 84. And then go to my website because I have my book and my speaking on there if you'd like, or you're just even interested in me speaking. Go to Ken Miller Speaks. Took me a long time to come up with that name. Actually, it did. Not just came up. I just call it Ken Miller Speaks.com.
That's great. And I'll have those links in our show notes. What would you like to
And then also, let me just put that out there while I do have a book coming out May 19th. Any way that you can support me on that, there'll be like a 99-cent special that day, but it's May 19th. Just go to kenmillerspeaks.com. The book is going to be, I believe, awesome. It took me 3 years to write this book, and it's my stories from childhood to being a successful businessman, the penitentiary, the Ivy Leagues, the crimes, prison term, all that. But there's also lessons to be learned, because that's a real key one. It's just not about stories. It's about lessons to be learned. Okay. And there were quite a few lessons that I learned, but each chapter has lessons learned. And I think it's going to be a great book. I'm super excited about it. And so anyway, kenmillerspeaks.com has the book. But again, if you can support me on May 19th, please do. I know this is probably past May 19th when this is coming out. But even when you have an opportunity to listen to this, just go to Ken Miller Speaks. The book will be on there, or it'll be on Amazon. It definitely be on, and it'll be Audible. And there's also the written version.
Fantastic. And I'll have all those links in our show notes. What would you like to leave our audience with today?
Great question. It depends on how you catch me. It depends on how the podcast goes, because I have different ones depending. I just don't have one trite. Remember, I don't talk in cliches. Coming off of this one, and this has been a great one, Michael. I've done a lot of these, and this is definitely going down as one of my favorite. What I'd like to leave the audience is change, grow. Now, if you're comfortable and you believe that your loved ones are comfortable where you're at, just be the best you possible. But if you believe that there are areas of growth, there's areas of accomplishments, there are goals to be met, undertake the path that you need to undertake to reach those goals, to be that person you want to be. I can't work with everyone. And as you know, I work with Black men for free. I'm not looking to coach anybody new. But there are people out there, and there are resources out there that can help you to identify and to reach those aspirations that you have. Okay, so that's my message. Do it, grow.
Thank you, Ken, for an amazing conversation today.
Thank you, thank you too. I just go one more thank you. I'm done. Thank you for all those who are listening. That's an investment in self. Yeah, it can be entertaining. Yeah, we laughed, and yeah, there was some sad things that we talked about potentially. I might have brought you when I talked about going into the room, but thank you. Because people that listen to these podcasts are trying to usually do something positive in their life. So thank you for listening and being a part of Michael's podcast.
Yes, indeed, audience. Thank you for being here. What are you aspiring to? What might be holding you back a little from reaching that? Ken and I would love to know.
Yeah.
Thanks, and have a great day.